121 points. Their opponents only scoring 108. And in the fourth quarter, they are like the old school third quarter Warriors, plus 112. Bruce, should the rest of the West, including your Lakers, be scared of Golden State?
Well, not scared, but they're dangerous. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, I've got the Lakers over them. I think that'd be an interesting series. How do they guard Luka and LeBron? I mean, you got Draymond and Jimmy. Is that what you're going to try to do? You know, the Lakers, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Steph. Do you just put a Gabe Vincent or Dorian Finney-Smith, shadow Steph everywhere he goes? Like, it'll be an interesting matchup. But I do, because of Luka, and assuming, again, LeBron plays at the top of his game, which he hasn't been doing since he's been back, I like the Lakers. Here's the thing. Denver has won 9 straight games against Golden State. You talked about Minnesota owning Denver, which they have. Denver's owned Golden State. 9 straight wins. So a lot of this is matchups. Golden State is matched up really well with OKC. Obviously, they have the experience. They defend just like OKC does. They shoot it better than OKC. So that would be interesting. They went 2-1 against OKC this year before Butler got there. So maybe you like Golden State in that matchup, but Denver has their number, and I would take the Lakers over them as well.
So listen, nobody wants them in round 1. That much I can say.
Right now, it would be Lakers.
Right. But it's so compact. We know it. Well, you know what? I can't even say we know it won't be OKC because they could. They're a 2-game losing streak from falling into the play-in. Like, so they really could play anyone in round 1 at this point. No one's going to want to play them because it's, to me, less about Jimmy Butler, his level of play, and more about what the Jimmy Butler acquisition has done for Steph Curry. Because this version of Steph Curry is terrifying. And Steph Curry, line of demarcation, not Jimmy Butler got there, the day the trade was reported, show you the numbers. Steph, up until that, the Warriors, even when Steph played, were 2 games under. Steph was averaging 22 points a game. Since the trade was announced, they're 18-5 overall, as you said, 18-2 when both guys play. And Steph is back to MVP caliber Steph numbers. And to me, Wilds, this is a lesson as to why you always must go for it if you are lucky enough to have a statue caliber guy who is still prime or prime adjacent, which Steph was. And so I give the Wilds, the Warriors, credit for this was not, it now looks like a no-brainer trade, but when it happened, Jimmy had just submarined a season. People thought the Warriors, even if they do it, what are they really going to? You always have to be all in if you have a player of Steph's caliber, and Steph reminded you of it last night with his brilliant best game of the season by a lot.
Yeah, it was a great take by Nick Wright. I actually wholeheartedly agree. People, I think, fail to realize just how long a basketball season can be and just how long games can be. Like, you play a lot of basketball, and when you're at the level of someone like a Steph Curry, you already have all your money, you have all your glory, you have, your legacy, etc., like, when your team has the ability to, like, legit win. You know it. You know when you're good enough as a player and you're on the team and you're obviously as good as someone like Steph. Like, you know it. You know it to your core whether or not you actually have a chance to win it all or not. And so when you now get a player like a Jimmy Butler, you're going to get elevated play from someone like Steph. Like, these are real effects because you feel like you're truly playing for something now. It's no longer a grind. It's an excitement. There's passion. There's intensity. There's a purpose. There's an actual purpose. And it just, it's important, especially when you're a player like Steph or LeBron or any of these players that have actually achieved rings, multiple rings. Like, again, you just get more intimately involved and connected to this feeling of like, what are we playing for? Because if it's not for a ring, well then like I'm at the point in my career where it's just like, well then it's nothing. I am just playing to just kind of like add stats to my totals and to not try to like lower my career averages. I mean, seriously, that's what it really ends up becoming. For LeBron or Steph, it's like win rings, championships or bust. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And again, obviously stay healthy and continue to stack points. So when you retire, you say, I scored, this amount of total points over my whole career, or assists or threes or whatever, which is good, important too for their legacy, because they're obviously that great. And so those bottom line numbers, when it's all said and done, still matter to a degree, but it's not really what gets them out of bed, right? Like Steph Curry's not like, oh, I can't wait to add to my 3-point total, so when I retire, I'm going to have even more 3-pointers. Like, that's not really why he's, leaping out of bed in the morning and excited to go ball with the Warriors. It's the feeling of, we can win it all. We can win a ring. We can show and prove to everyone we're the best. And so that's what the Jimmy trade does more than anything. And I was expecting Nick to kind of give some pushback, because he kept kind of talking about the Lakers and the Warriors, and he was kind of dragging his feet with the Warriors. And then again, the Lakers beat the Grizzlies, and everyone's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And now the Warriors beat the Grizzlies, and I'm like, okay, so where are we at now? They here we are. So I think it's true. Nobody should want to face the Warriors round one. I mean, I think that's very obvious. I think in any round at this point. And it is, the standings are too compacted right now, and especially like an interesting mix of games, like the Warriors playing the Lakers and stuff like that, have a major impact right now. So just one loss could be huge and one win could be huge. So it is hard to really accurately predict where these teams are going to fall when it's all said and done in terms of the standings and so who they're going to play. But I don't think we have to get lost in the weeds too much of like, oh, well, how will the Warriors guard the Lakers and this or that. As unin-depth as it sounds, I think what we've consistently learned at the end of the day, when you're talking about these teams, these all-time great players, or just when you're talking about, having two teams go head-to-head with a collection of great players, at the end of the day, it's really that. It's not like, oh, well, how are you going to cover this? And it's just really like, is Steph hitting his threes? Is LeBron hitting his his shots that he's taking, or is he 1 for 7 from mid-range or whatever? Like what is it, right? And the role players, insert any random role player. Did he go 3 for 3 from the 3-point line? Like that. That's what it just consistently comes down to. Seriously, in these games, the Lakers, it's not like, oh, well, who are they going to, is Draymond going to cover Luka? Like, it doesn't even come down to that. You're going to have that, obviously, but it's really going to be like, is Steph 7 for 10 from 3 or 2 for 6? When LeBron James is, being a freight train down the lane, is he hitting that layup, his little layups that he always does, or does it get kind of rimmed out and he's yelling at the refs that he was fouled? That's what it like almost always comes down to. And then again, random role player, 1 or 2 of those role players, do they have like a 15-point, 20-point game, or are they 0 for 4, instead of 3 for 4? That's how it always comes down. Always. And Warriors, anytime I ever reference this example, it's like Warriors fans know this better than like anyone throughout their reign, throughout their run. Like obviously Steph and KD and all that, but the games that they lose, it's like, man, Steph was just, he was only 3 for 10 from 3, you're not going to expect him to be 3 for 10 for the next game, like that's how it happens. And then when they win those, a great game, it's like, whoa, Sean Livingston, 6 for 6? Okay. Then, wasn't, banking on that, Barbosa? Oh my God. Oh my goodness. A 10-point third quarter? Well, that's beneficial. It's just a difference between winning and losing. It's not that complicated, honestly. And it's what makes it kind of, both unpredictable on an individual game basis. I think it's one of the hardest things to ever predict. In an individual game in a 7-game series, it's one of the most impossible things to predict. But that's why you have the 7-game series, that you kind of know on average who's just a better team. The better team's going to win more often than not. More so than just kind of who catches fire. But of course, in basketball too, it's not hard for someone like a Steph, like a Klay Thompson, less so than a LeBron, but like a Luka, to be able to just like actually really catch fire. And, you know, over the last 3 games, Steph has been shooting 56% from 3-pointers. It's like, right, if Steph does something like that over the last 3 games, aka the playoffs, it's like, well, yeah. But if he has one of those games when he's like, oh, he was 2 for 12, you know, and they're like, oh, he was just so cold that game. It's like, all right, then you lose. I mean, it's just the reality of it all. But I think when you see the way how Steph's been playing, when you see the way how the Warriors as a whole have been playing, and you're still anticipating even better ball from Jimmy Butler, and either equal or slightly better, even ever slightly so, you know, less, because again, you know, Steph recently put up 52 points. He's not going to keep doing that. Like, yeah, I just the experience they have, you know, the seasoned veterans that they have. Yeah, man. I mean, as long as they don't run out of physical energy, you know, just in terms of just like, because since they are older and they're just like clearly tired and a little worn down, as long as that doesn't catch up to them in key moments, I don't see why you'd want to face them. And that's the only thing and that's what you would really be banking on. Like, if you are the Lakers, if you are the Timberwolves or any of these other teams, like, you're banking on, all right, if we get this series just to go to, you know, 5 or 6 games, like, they're gonna run out of steam. Like, Steph's been averaging 40 minutes a game. Jimmy Butler's looking tired. Like, you're banking on this team. They're just running out of gas and not being just an inferior team. So I'm getting more and more excited for the playoffs, honestly. I feel like this whole season has been kind of a little bit of a drag. Not much action, not much drama, not much interesting. Really, all the interesting things came from the Luka trade and the Jimmy Butler trade. You know, I mean, like, otherwise, everything just kind of felt like we're all just kind of dragging along. Steph Curry was kind of just dragging along, too. I mean, you know, like, just look at the players themselves, just kind of dragging along a little bit. And so now it feels like there's a lot more excitement, more interesting matchups. The potential for the Lakers and the Warriors matchup with the way the teams are constructed now is obviously wildly more interesting and exciting than it would have been before some of these trades. I think the OKC series between the OKC and the Warriors would be a fascinating series. You know, the Thunder are trying to become the next version of the Warriors, but they just haven't quite been able to bring it home yet. Not necessarily because of talent, but because of experience, because of knowing and understanding how to play winning situational basketball, again, when it matters most, right? Playing high level, high IQ basketball when it matters most. That's exactly what Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors know how to do. It's what Jimmy Butler knows how to do too. You know, it's what he's, you know, and obviously, you know, Draymond Green. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting matchups that I really hope we get to see. From my viewpoint, the Golden State Warriors are still this team that you really kind of want to watch and see what they can do. I believe that they have the ability to play some of the most interesting and most exciting basketball. Something like Steph, you know, just going off for 50-some points and just draining 3 after 3 after 3. It still just hits. I mean, it really does. More so than like a Jokic triple-double. More so than LeBron James going 28, 10, and 9. And you know, it just does for me personally. So I still think that the Warriors and Steph are the biggest draw of the playoffs. So hopefully we get to see you know, a long sustained run. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Golden State Warriors? Should the rest of the West be scared of Golden State? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.